Prices that once soared above retail are now plunging because the world's richest buyers have quietly walked away from 9 of the most hyped watches in history. Last year alone, high-profile models like the Nautilus dropped over 40%, and once crowded waitlists have evaporated. Why did luxury symbols lose their grip on elite collectors, and what does it reveal about the dark side of status, money, and the watch market's collapse? The real story starts with how this bubble formed. Between 2019 and 2022, luxury watches became more than just status symbols. They turned into speculative assets. Low interest rates and a flood of easy money encouraged a new kind of buyer. Suddenly, it was not only seasoned collectors chasing rare pieces. Social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok lit up with flippers, influencers, and celebrities showing off the latest steel sports models. Waitlists for watches like the Patek Philippe Nautilus or the Rolex Daytona stretched for years, while dealers quietly offered spots to the highest bidders. Some paid over $10,000 just to move up the queue. For a brief period, the market acted more like cryptocurrency than traditional collecting. Prices for certain Rolex models jumped an average of 93% on the secondary market. The Patek Nautilus 5711, with a retail price around $30,000, traded hands for over $150,000. In 2021, a Tiffany-stamped Nautilus sold at auction for $6.5 million, setting a new record and fueling the narrative that these watches would only ever go up in value. Much of this frenzy was driven by the influencer economy. High-profile endorsements from athletes and musicians, paired with constant social media exposure, created a sense of urgency. Scarcity became part of the marketing. Flippers snapped up allocations, reselling pieces at 2 to 5 times retail. The result was that watches were no longer rare treasures but commodities traded for quick profit. Beneath the surface, longtime collectors and the ultra-wealthy watched as their once exclusive world became crowded and commercialized. The mechanics of the bubble were clear. When easy money and viral hype collide, prices can only defy gravity for so long. Among the ultra-wealthy, the appeal of high-profile watches faded long before prices started to slide. For collectors with fortunes in the hundreds of millions, exclusivity is everything. When the same Nautilus or Royal Oak appeared at every gala on every influencer's wrist, the meaning changed. Status fatigue set in. Pieces once reserved for private circles became Instagram wallpaper, ubiquitous, overexposed, and to the most discerning, suddenly ordinary. Regional shifts deepened the slowdown. In China, where luxury watch demand once fueled double-digit growth, a 23% drop in value in 2024 signaled a sharp reversal. Anti-corruption crackdowns and changing gifting culture made conspicuous consumption riskier. The ultra-wealthy in the United States and Europe saw the writing on the wall too. With liquidity drying up and waitlists feeling transactional, many began to quietly rotate their portfolios. Watches that once felt like personal trophies became as liquid and as impersonal as any other asset. For these collectors, the move was deliberate. Portfolios shifted away from hyped steel sports models and celebrity collaborations, with some consigning up to 30% of their collections in 2024 and 2025. The capital did not disappear. It flowed into rare vintage pieces, independent brands focused on craftsmanship, or even outside watches entirely, toward art, cars, and experiences money cannot easily duplicate. The ultra-wealthy collector, once the heartbeat of the hype market, now chases what cannot be found on every wrist or in every auction catalog. As their priorities changed, the market's momentum began to crack. Scarcity once fueled the legend of steel sports watches like the Patek Philippe Nautilus and the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. Dealers boasted waitlists that stretched for years, and prices on the secondary market soared far beyond retail. But the illusion of rarity could not last. By mid-2025, the Nautilus 5711 had lost nearly 40% of its peak value, dropping from highs around $150,000 to just under $90,000. The Royal Oak, a longtime favorite among collectors, saw similar declines, with certain steel references falling by more than 30% from their 2022 peaks. Inventory tells its own story. Listings for the Nautilus on major resale platforms have doubled or even tripled since 2022, and days on market have stretched from just a couple of weeks to 2 months or more. Watches that once sold instantly now linger, sometimes at prices below what authorized dealers charge. Auction results reinforce the trend. Royal Oak lots that once sparked bidding wars now routinely hammer for 20% below their low estimates. The scarcity narrative has unraveled, and with it the premiums that once defined the category. For the first time in years, buyers have the upper hand. Celebrity-driven watches once promised instant status, but their shine has proven short-lived. Richard Mille's athlete collaborations, once the darlings of the ultra-rich, have lost momentum at a startling pace. In 2025, prices for key Richard Mille references fell by 28% from their peak just 2 years earlier. Models tied to tennis stars or Formula One drivers, which once sparked bidding wars, now linger on dealer sites. Inventory for these high-profile collaborations has doubled since 2023, with many listings sitting unsold for months. The same pattern plays out across other celebrity-backed designs. Hublot's limited editions, once boosted by footballers and musicians, now face sluggish resale and steep discounts. Demand that once spiked overnight fades just as quickly when the spotlight moves on. Auction houses report far fewer competitive bids for these watches, and dealers quietly lower prices to clear stock. The rapid cycle of endorsement and abandonment exposes a deeper vulnerability. When hype is the main driver, values can unravel almost as fast as they soared. For wealthy buyers, the lesson is clear, celebrity cachet is fleeting, and the market is quick to correct when the crowd moves on. Brand expansion in the luxury watch world has its own consequences. When companies ramp up production and flood the market with new variations, what once felt exclusive can quickly become ordinary. Cartier offers a clear example. Over the past year, dealer inventory for Cartier watches has jumped by 50%. Models like the Santos, once prized for their clean design and heritage, now appear in dozens of colorways and limited editions. The same trend is visible with the Vacheron Constantin overseas. Dealers now list these watches at prices hovering just above retail or sometimes below, reflecting how supply is outpacing demand. Days on market for these models have stretched to 2 to 3 months, compared to just a few weeks during the peak. Secondary market dealers, who once struggled to source enough stock, now face the opposite problem: too many watches and too few buyers. Auction houses report tepid bidding for recent releases, while unsold lots pile up. The promise of luxury starts to fade when a watch is no longer difficult to find. For collectors, oversupply erodes the very thing that made these pieces desirable in the first place. Auction houses have recorded a sharp drop in sell-through rates, with sports watch lots falling by 18% since 2022. Dealer inventory for models like the Nautilus and Royal Oak has doubled, and average days on market now stretch past 2 months. On gray market sites, listings for once hyped watches routinely show prices below retail, a reversal from the days of long waitlists and hefty premiums. Watch Charts data shows that median resale prices for key references have compressed by as much as 30%. Fewer buyers are showing up at auctions, and bidding wars have been replaced by cautious offers. The correction is not hidden. It is visible in every metric the market tracks. Rarity and provenance have returned to the forefront of collecting. Vintage watches, especially those with documented history or unique features, are seeing a measurable boost. Auction data shows vintage pieces have outperformed the broader market, with a 15% uplift in hammer prices over the past year. Independent makers like FP Journey and Rexepi now command waitlists measured in years, not months. Collectors are gravitating toward watches that tell a story, where craftsmanship, limited production, and personal connection matter more than hype. In this environment, authenticity and scarcity are the qualities driving value, while mass market recognition fades into the background. Status symbols shift, but value endures. As luxury watch prices reset, genuine rarity and craftsmanship matter more than hype. Today's correction isn't just about watches, it is about what we choose to signal. In a market chasing meaning, authenticity is the only trend that never collapses.